in 2 minutes time. All right, okay. We're live now. Oh, okay. Good evening once again, and welcome everyone to another exciting episode of our Belle by Choice Facebook Live chat. And as you know, every week we meet like this on Thursday to ensure that we discuss on things that affect us as young women, and we believe that everyone should be able to have this information because health is wealth. So at this point, we will like to open the room for everyone out there who is connecting through YouTube, watching us, or those that will be watching later after the show. Please do feel free to drop your questions, your comments if you have any, and of course, we're going to attend to them. So if you have any question, do feel free to drop. So, as you know, we dey roll our things with pidgin and English, so we no go stay for one place. So we have to be free to be able to. So I don't know if I can see the beautiful woman we'll be having in the house. Can we see your face, ma? If you can just, would love to see your camera open.
Hi
Hi.
everyone.
Wow, indeed, you're beautiful. It's
Good
really nice
evening,
having
Ma.
you. Yeah. Thank you for honoring our invitation today. So, please, I just want you to understand we are, our conversation is not going to be dwelled on our English, normal English. You have to put in pidgin so that other people can also understand. So, as Belle consigns. So, yes. All right. So, please, can you permit me to share screen?
Please go ahead.
Yeah, sorry. I've been disrupted from sharing screen. So give me a minute, please. All right, I can share now. Please, can you see my screen?
Not yet.
Let's see. Network. Mm. So please, can you confirm if you can see it now so we proceed?
Not yet. Okay. Yes, I can.
Oh, all right. That's beautiful. Okay, so as we know, Bella by choice now. The place where we they come together to listen and also yarn on top of better matter wey concern our sexual reproductive health and rights. As women, say these things that they things wey go help us guide us on the path where we dey go, so that we no go feel carry belle the time when we no want am. Make e be say the time you don prepare well well, you go sit down to and your oga yakata for ground say, this time we wan get pikin now before it go happen. So we want every woman make it dey informed about this and be able to make decision for themselves, because as you see, so health now wealth. So no use your life play as a woman. So now on today's discussion, today we'll be talking about cervical cancer. So this is actually a continuation of what we've done before, and then we're going to start with a recap so that so those of you who had missed the first episode can also have a clue of what it means before we delve deep into the conversation for today. So before we proceed with the discussion for today, we'd love to use the opportunity to say a very big thank you to our amazing partners for their support. And this program is actually running because they have been our backbone, they've been supporters. So we're saying a very big thank you to AWDF. We're saying a very big Thank you to Global Fund for Women, Women First Digital, Gilead, and Moment for Women Alliance, DKT International Nigeria, Cross River State Ministry of Health, UNFPA, and Cross River State Primary Healthcare Development Agency. Thank you so much for your beautiful for standing by us and being amazing people. Indeed, we love you. Kisses to you all. Yeah, so back to our discussion for today. As we know, cervical cancer is issues that affect a lot of women, and but not and this is not just limited to women alone, but sometimes even when we have it, we don't really know this is happening around us. So it is important that we have to understand this. So please, our women and our girls them outside, even though you be man safe, as they listen to us like this, make you know say this conversation concern you, may you no flip and pass. Listen to am because it will help you. If you know they useful to you because you're a man, it go they useful for you, make you feel advise your pikin or your wife on the things to do. All right, so as we proceed, we want to say welcome to our speaker to the show. Welcome, ma'am.
Thank you so much. Thank you.
Yeah, so we're doing a brief introduction about our speaker for today, Dr. Victoria Appin. I hope I'm pronouncing your name right?
No, but go ahead.
Okay, so he's a medical doctor and public health expert. She's deeply committed to strengthening health systems, digital health, and health policies. She's also currently serving as a research fellow and communication officer at the Institute of Health Research and Development at the University of Uyo Teaching Hospital, Nigeria. She has collaborated on numerous high impact research aimed at generating data driven solutions for improved health policy and service delivery. She's also a strong, passionate woman with she's also strong and passionate about women's health. She's dedicated to empowering women and girls to take charge of their health, particularly in the fight against cervical cancer. She believes that through education, advocacy, and access to innovative healthcare solutions, women can be equipped to make informed health decisions. So her career is also driven by a vision to enhance healthcare access in low and medium income countries, leveraging innovations, collaborations, and strategic leadership to bring about sustainable change. Wow, this is beautiful. Thank you so much for sharing this with us. And we know that learning about your the work you've been doing as a woman is really inspiring. So, and I believe our women and girls out there having listened to this will be prepared to really hear what this means. Yeah. So we'll be moving straight to the discussion. So we start with a recap on cervical cancer. So please, Ma, can you open the floor for us on this? Because I believe as a professional in the field, you should be able to have more information about this. Yeah.
Okay. Thank you so much for that beautiful information and um, for everything, for inviting me here. I feel this is an honor, and I'm very glad to speaking to lots of people about a very important health issue. So first of all, I'm really glad that this is about cervical cancer because this is a very timely issue right now. And so, what is cervical cancer? Yeah, I think it's intuitive. So it is cancer of the cervix. So maybe I should start with what is the cervix. So, oh, sorry, you did say we should be mixing pidgin. I don't know how to speak pidgin very well, but what to be cancer of the cervix?
Anyhow, pick up like that.
uh, okay, so cancer. So the cervix. is an organ in the woman's body. You can see it in the image that displays there, that's displayed there. It is just below the um, uterus. So it is considered the neck of the uterus. What is the uterus? It's the part of the woman's body that holds the baby, and it's also the part where like your menstrual blood comes from. It's that part of the female reproductive system that holds the baby, and the neck of it, which is like the canal before you get to the vagina and just after the uterus, is the cervix, and this is an an area where women have a lot of issues around cervical cancer. I'm sorry, around like cancer issues. So the cervix is the neck of the uterus between the vagina and the uterus itself. And cancer of the cervix is when that part of the body begins to develop cells that are growing faster than usual, faster than normal. Abnormal cells are growing faster than normal and causes cancer. Yes. So should I keep going? Should
Oh,
I just
that's
keep talking about
amazing.
it? Okay.
No, 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 no. Thank you so much for sharing that. That's really amazing. Yeah, so I during our last conversation, some of the speaker delved more into this, and he talked about some of the impact, talked about uh, um, some risk factors. But we're going to continue with our first question on the list is, what are the main risk factors associated with cervical cancer, and how can individuals reduce their risks of being like the risk to cervical cancer?
Yeah, okay, thank you. So that's actually a very important question because up to cervical cancer is the second most common cancer among women. So what is the main risk factor? First of all, having a cervix is the number one risk factor before we even talk about anything else, right? So men or people that were born male cannot have cervical cancer. I mean, except something something was wrong somewhere. But generally, having a cervix is the first risk factor. But there are some things that causes one person to be more prone to having cervical cancer than another among people that have cervixes, which, first of all, the most common one and the one that has been seen in up to 90% of women with cervical cancer is what we call human papillomavirus infection, HPV infection. And how does the HPV infection come about? It's sexually transmitted, so it's not just one time HPV infection that is a risk factor, it's persistent HPV infection. So HPV infects a lot of people, but most people's body clears it. But persistence over like 20 years, when the body does not clear for over 20 years, it really increases the risk of having cervical cancer. So that is the major number one risk, apart from having a cervix. The major number one risk is HPV
Mm.
infection. And so there are other risk factors like smoking, continuous smoking. When when somebody has a weakened immune system from things like HIV or diabetes that's occurred over a long period of time, or the person is taking medications that weakens the immunity. So at any point you think I'm saying things that are too high, please don't forget to call me back. Okay. So the next thing is related to HPV infection. A woman that has multiple sexual partners over her lifetime um, is at higher risk, particularly because of HPV infection. Like you are more likely to have taken up HPV infection if you slept with like more men in your life. So men typically don't show that they have HPV infection most of the time, at least not the type that leads to cervical cancer. So you would know. And so sleeping with more men increases the risk, at least having like unprotected sex with women. Another thing that can increase the risk is prolonged use of some pills like contraceptives and family history. Yes, having a family member that has had cervical cancer or any other type of cancer. And Now we've learned like the things that can cause. So some of these are beyond your control, like weakened immune system, like having human papilloma virus infection. To some extent, is beyond your control. You could be with one man all your life, and somehow that man had HPV. So how can you reduce your risk? And the first thing is why I said this topic is very timely. HPV vaccination. Um, we are in Nigeria, we have just added a HPV vaccine to the EPI schedule. So it's new and it's especially it's currently free for children. So if you have a child 9 to 14, please let them have access to the HPV vaccine. However, for us adults, it's not free. It's a little bit expensive. I can't remember the exact price, but we should try to get it, to get the vaccine. If you have not gotten it, I think there are about 2 doses of it. Please try to get it. It's especially if you are within your younger years. It's good protect you a lot from coming down with cervical cancer in the future. Another thing is regular screening. From the age of 25, a lady should start getting cervical cancer screenings every 5 years. If you are low risk, that means you don't have family history of HPV and you don't have like multiple sexual partners or you're not a sex worker. You should be getting it every about 5 years. If you're high risk, every 3 years is the standard. So like it is necessary. I know that most of us they do okay. Most of us don't do it, but it is necessary. It's just one time every 5 years. Go get a pap smear and check to make sure that everything down there is fine. So just to go through the next thing is if you are smoking, please stop smoking. If like you have multiple sexual partners, please try to use protection, have safe sex, and also try reducing the number of sexual partners, or at least ensure that you are having safe sex. Yeah, so that's the risk factors and how to reduce your risks. Yeah.
Well, thank you so much for sharing that. It's really good to learn. But you know what? I came across something that talks about I know earlier, I think around May they gave vaccination, just like you mentioned. But why is it? Why was it limited to just the age of 9 to 14 years thereabout?
Okay, so first of all, the vaccine is most effective when taken before any sexual activity has started whatsoever. So the vaccine is better for prevention. The vaccine does not treat. So, for example, as a 25-year-old, if you have been having sexual partners and you have somehow taken up the virus, taking the vaccine is not going to protect you from the previous virus you already had.
Okay.
So that is why the target age is for those that most likely have not started sexual activity, which is about 9 to 14. But we still say if you are in your 20s, your 30s, please still take it because there is a very good chance that you, even though you have had sex, you have not gotten the virus. So why don't you just take it in order to protect yourself? Another reason why it is targeted to 9 to 14 is because free things are free for the end users, but it's not free for the person that is paying. So someone is paying for it. The government is paying, or some funding bodies are paying, and they can only fund. They will definitely not be able to fund for the general population. So they target the people that would have the highest effect and then target them. So I'm so sorry, there's not free for everybody. Me too. I'm also sorry for myself.
I see. Oh, it's fine. It's fine. Okay, so there was something I saw. HPV DNA test, something. How does that prevent the detect cervical cancer? Because
Okay.
for me, I know DNA is supposed to be for maybe so that they
Paternity
identify the
test.
child, if the child is for the father, something. And then I'm hearing DNA for HP alongside HPV and as in it's connected to cervical cancer. How is that connected?
Yeah, that's a good question. That's a good question. So DNA is that part of the body, like this very, very tiny part of the body that contains your genetic material. What is genetic material? Basically, what your father and your mother gave you, came together, combined, and then gave you. So that is what a
Mm,
DNA contains. So you have DNA, and most living organisms have DNA. And viruses, most there are a lot of viruses that don't have DNA, but fortunately for
mm,
us, the human papilloma virus is a DNA virus. That means it has DNA. So the same way
mm,
that they can use paternity test to check
mm,
you have if your DNA is similar to your father's DNA, they can use a
mm.
test to check if you have the HPV virus DNA within you. Yeah, so that's how the
Oh,
DNA test comes about. Yeah,
mm. That's amazing.
yeah.
All right, thank you very much for sharing that. I think
Um,
that's uh, I've gotten the clarity now. Okay, so our next question is: what are the early symptoms of cervical cancer, and how can it be detected at an early stage? I think we've talked briefly on the DNA aspect as part of the
mm,
detection and all, but maybe you could just chip in one or two things.
okay, perfect. I'm liking these questions a lot because they're going to make me hammer on some things. First of all, if we are beginning to have both early and late symptoms, there is problem already. We don't even want to have symptoms. We don't want, the goal is to not even have the HPV or the
Mm,
cancer or the what leads to the cancer in the first place. We don't even want it. The next thing is if,
mm,
for example, you have the HPV virus, or you have something that then started to transform before it even comes to cancer. Okay, I think that's something I forgot to mention. Before the cancer develops, the cervical cancer typically develops over a period of 20 to 30 years. That's why many people in their middle ages, between 40, 50, that have it. But most of those people have gotten the infection in their 20s. So it takes a long time to develop. And the pap smear and the DNA test, HPV DNA test, why we do it periodically is to identify the virus or the precancerous lesion before it becomes cancer. So that is why I said by the time you're beginning to have any symptom whatsoever, there is already a problem. So we don't want that. So
mm,
how can it be detected in the early stages? Screening.
mm,
Either, I'm glad you mentioned the DNA test because we don't have it readily available in Nigeria, but I'm sure it will be coming soon. The DNA test or pap smear. That's how you can detect it early, and that's what we want, to detect it early. Now, what are some
mm,
symptoms that you may see? Maybe you're in your mid ages, you're in your late 30s, early 40s, 50s, and you're like, how do I know? First of all, abnormal vaginal bleeding. If you notice that you are bleeding in between your periods, you're bleeding in between your period, or when you have sex, you're bleeding, or your period has already stopped. You've gone through menopause, but then you start seeing abnormal bleeding again. That's one way that should like give you red flags, what's happening. Another thing is you begin to have like, especially if it's associated with this, you begin to have smelly, really smelly discharge or bloody discharge or brownish discharge. You should like start questioning what's going on. Another thing is pain during intercourse or just pelvic pain. You sit on your own and then you feel very sharp pain within. Most of the time there is no pain, quite frankly, but there could be pain during intercourse or a discomfort. It may not be like sharp pain, but you're not feeling okay. You're not feeling normal. Right. Another thing is foul smell. By the time it gets to foul smell, it's very bad. We don't even want it to get there. What we are trying to push is please, 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 let's try to prevent it first before it even gets to any of this. So yeah.
mm. Thank you so much. Thank you. All right. So our next question is, I have a question for you on that, but I will just have to skip.
Okay.
So we're still going to come back to it later. Okay. So how often should women be screened for cervical cancer, and what screening methods do you recommend?
Okay, yeah, yeah. That's a good question. I did mention something to that, so I'm not going to dwell on it. There are two methods: the pap smear, which is um, the one where they put a brush inside you, and then they are checking for whether they are looking at your cells, the cells of the cervix, to see if they started changing, if they have those precancerous lesions. Precancerous lesions are cells that look like they are going to change to cancer. They've not yet become cancer, but they're looking like they've started having changes towards cancer. So we call it precancerous. So the pap smear test for those precancerous lesions. Then there is the DNA test, which we talked about, the HPV test. And it's the one that tests whether you have the virus. Many people have the virus but never have the disease. But at least when you find that you have the virus, if you find that you have the virus, you know how to better protect yourself before
Mm,
it becomes cancer. So how often, right? You asked how often. It's recommended
mm,
if you are below 30 years, from 21 to 29 years. I think in Nigeria it's 25. In some other countries it's 21. I'm not very sure.
mm.
Um, you should be checking every 3 years.
Okay.
Um, every 3 to 5 years. I would say every 5 years, depending on your lifestyle, what kind of lifestyle you're living. If you have multiple sexual partners, it would be better to do
Mm,
it every 5 years. And so currently we are pushing because the DNA test is much easier, much less discomfortable, a bit uncomfortable, and then there's self-testing. You can do it yourself actually for the HPV test. We're trying to push for that, and with that, you could even do it every 3 years easily. The pap smear is a little bit traumatic, not very traumatic, but uncomfortable since you have to like open up for somebody to go in there.
mm.
But yeah, if we are able to have the DNA test in circulation, it's something that can be easily done every 2 years. Yeah.
Well, that's amazing. Thank you so much. Thank you. All right. So, how does cervical cancer and its treatment affect a woman's fertility, and what options are available for those concerned about fertility?
Oh, okay. Okay. So if after like we have tried to prevent and tried to treat and tried to do everything we need to do, and somehow we still have cancer, which it happens, we do everything right, and you still have the cancer. The best thing would be for us to catch it in the early stage, right? So that means once you notice any symptom that's suspicious, please never wait. Get yourself to hospital, get some tests, okay? It's much easier when the treatment options are much easier when it's in the early stage. In early stage, there are various methods, and it will depend on what stage. It depends on your general health. It will depend on like what you and your doctor talk about. Um, if you go for something like, hello, I hope I'm being heard. So if you go for something like surgery, like what we call a cone biopsy, um, they take out some part of the cervix. It could impact. It could impact your fertility a little bit. Yeah, I hope I am being heard. So it could impact your fertility a little bit.
Yes, ma. Yes, ma. We can
Oh,
hear
okay,
you.
okay. All right, thank you. It could impact your fertility a little bit, depending on the extent of the surgery. But then, if you need advanced treatments like radiotherapy or chemotherapy, I'm sure we've heard of that in regards to cancer treatment. Those things are quite toxic to the body, and it could really have impact on fertility, really impact fertility. However, at that point, there are so many, we have gotten to the 21st, we have gotten to 2024 where there are so many fertility options at the moment. So if you have cervical cancer, I think the first thing is to save your life, and to talk with your doctor if you're having fertility plans later. Talk with your doctor. You could freeze your eggs you could freeze your eggs before the process or the procedure so that if you have chemotherapy or radiotherapy, it doesn't affect your eggs. You could go for some less invasive surgeries. You could try to like if you speak with a fertility specialist or with your doctor, you could be able to work things out. We are in an era that we have so many choice, Belle by choice. Yeah.
That's true. That's amazing. Thank you so much. Okay, so the next question is, what are the chances of a woman developing cervical cancer? Hello, can you hear me?
Okay. Yeah. So globally, generally, the percentage is quite not so high if you want to compare it to something like breast cancer. So globally, I think the percentage is about 0.7%. Um, globally, that means each woman has a 0.7% chance of developing cervical cancer. However, what I like to
Mm.
say is statistics are statistics, right? For me, as an individual, for each person, you may or may not have cervical cancer, right? Those are the two options when it for each individual. So yes, the risk is low when you're looking at the general population. It's not that low. 0.7% is not that low, but you're looking at the general population, you say, okay, I'm 0.7%. Okay, I'm that. But for you as an individual, if you have it, you have it. If you don't, you don't. You can't 0.7%. You can't have 0.7% of cervical cancer. So the best thing is to ensure that you are trying to prevent yourself, protecting yourself from the risks. Sorry, another thing is that the chances are dependent on actually the risk factors, how much you're exposed to the different risk factors. So yeah, the chances are based on the risk factors and just have to ensure that you try to protect yourself, do the best you can. Yeah. You did have a question earlier, so I think you can ask it now.
Okay, so sure. Oh, we're moving to that now. So, while we're talking, you made mention about global issue as regards cervical cancer and thereabouts, and then it came into my mind. You know, one thought just struck to my mind is during the conversation. Okay, for instance, we have, we're talking about the global impact of cervical cancer in the lives of
Mm-hmm.
women, and uh, you know, so now, for instance, we are in and for like these hard to reach communities,
Mm-hmm.
communities that are not well developed, like they have low income, let's just categorize them as low income countries where they don't have
Mm-hmm.
access to this screening, they don't have access to HPV vaccination, as in it's more
Mm-hmm.
limit, it's like it's limited in those areas. How can those people now protect themselves from contacting this HPV, or what do you think can be done?
That's a very good question, and that is why there is a field like public health because um everything that we do, everything that the health system tries to do, if the people in the rural and remote communities don't get access to it, then there's almost no point. Because a lot of people, like where I stay, 80% of the population live in rural areas. So that's actually a very important question. And it's by advocacy. What you're doing right now is very, very beautiful. It's very good because we are going to be touching a particular demographic of people. There is also the on-ground advocacy that involves going into communities, um, going into communities to advocate, to do health advocacy, to educate. We in the public health field, we try to do that as much as possible. Also using community health workers. Um, there are community health workers, CADA in Nigeria, and they are tasked with several health education tasks like health
Mm,
education for cancers and different things. And so we also try to use that. But I do agree that there is a huge gap still that has not been filled. There are lots of people that die but and never get to the hospital for us to even diagnose the cervical cancer. So we are busy saying, oh, in Nigeria, about 20,000 women have cervical cancer every year, but it could be double or triple of that because we have this thing in Nigeria that is called the iceberg syndrome, where if we see 10 people in a hospital, any hospital with a particular
mm.
illness, because of the way our health system is structured, at least 100 to 1,000 people are in the communities with that same illness that cannot get to the hospital. So, yeah,
All
and
right,
look,
thank
it's
you very
education.
much. Yeah, thank you. Thank you for sharing that. So, as we conclude the conversation,
Am I the one that is lost?
Yeah, we are together.
Oh, okay. I think we've lost our host for a minute there.
Hello, Ma. Thank you
Yeah,
very much. Thank you very much for this um exciting moment you've shared with us. We've really learned a lot. We've learned so much. Thank you very, very much.
yeah. Thank you for having me and for bringing up this important topic.
I'm really, really excited that you are with us today. Thank you for your time.
Thank you.
Sorry, the other of my colleague is trying to connect back. Just a
Okay.
minute, please.
All right.
can you hear me?
Yes, I can hear you.
Yes,
Sorry,
we are
I got
together.
disconnected. Network is kind of bad. The weather is not favorable actually. So
That's okay.
we're wrapping up
Glad we are able
already.
to get to
So
the end.
yeah, thank you. All right, so the I just wanted to get clarity on how code testing works because I heard about code testing does something. Does it have age limit for that, and how does it really work? Code
Sorry, I didn't
testing.
get that.
The,
What?
yeah, I heard about something like code testing, um, for cervical cancer and all, and then it has to it's had something like connected to whether pep tests, HPV,
Oh,
DNA,
okay.
something. How does that work?
Okay, that's the screening I was talking about. And the age,
So
that's the screening,
can
yes.
actually can the, okay, so can the
Yeah, go
two be
ahead.
combined together?
Yes, yes. If they are combined together, then you do it every 5 years. If you do pap smear and HPV test, you do it every 5 years. You don't need to do every 3 years. So yes, it can be
Oh,
combined together.
I see. Does it have age limits for that?
Okay, actually, that's a good question, and I should have mentioned it. So by the time a woman gets around 49 years, there is very little chance that she is going to develop have the cancerous lesion afresh. So 49 years, yes. After 49 years, there's really no much need to keep testing.
Mm, okay, I see. All right, thank you so much for sharing that. I don't know if my colleague has any question for you before we wrap up.
Mhm.
Elsie, do you
Hello.
have any contribution?
Yes, I just want to tell our speaker thank you very much for finding out time to be with us today. I'm really, really excited and for really taking good time to treat this topic because it's really a thing of concern. I really want to tell you thank you very much. You've really done well. Thank you.
Sure. Thank you for having me.
Yes, ma'am.
Thank you. So she has you as we've all heard, she's made justice to the topic and a lot of things we've learned from today. Like the pep smear stuff. I came to realize that it's a routine text that collects cells from the cervix to
Mhm.
detect abnormal cells changes. So women and girls out there or men who are connected listening to us today wanted to have bear this at the back of your mind that see we don't want you to be afraid that oh if I have cervical cancer I go die tomorrow. Don't be say you go die, but the cocoa of the matter be say make you dey informed. That's what we're telling you, so that you dey informed of the things wey you go do, things wey you fit avoid, so that you no go end up having the cervical cancer or being a victim, because I've seen some
Okay.
survivors that see there are some survival rates. Some some who are survivors at age 5 years, the rate of the cervical cancer goes up around I think 66% or thereabout. So it's varies depending on that stage of that cervical cancer that has developed in your system. So it's very important that you do early detection. That's why it's important to go for screening at every time. As our speaker don talk say e get different stage, or they get stage one, stage two. Stage one na that one wey you go wey they go tell you say you still dey early stage, or you just dey start, na the start process. And then the stage two na the advanced stage wey be say as e don go so na only God. And then if you follow um your doctor prescription, na you fit dey na 50-50 chances still dey there now. So it's very important that you go, even if you know say you never start to get sex, as our speaker talk, you never get boyfriend, you never get partner, just carry yourself jejeje go visit health center make dem do test. So because by the time they do the test now na im dey go take know whether you get am or you dey at the early stage dey or something, or you can even take the vaccine
Or
ahead
take the
of time, just
vaccine.
like she has
Take the
said. That
vaccine.
is why they do the vaccination. So it's very important that you take the vaccine, so that you no go say if to say I bin know how to take care of myself, this thing I for don avoid am, for I for no dey victim. That's why we dey lis ten to us. So if you don hear this matter, make you go discuss with your woman. If you get woman for house, you sef you never detect whether you get cervical cancer, if you never know whether you get human papilloma virus, abeg e dey important make two of una carry una sef go visit health center sef, do the test together. When you do the test, na that test we dey call the screening. So by the time you do the test, you go fit know the one where the stage where your body dey, your body system dey, whether na the one wey don pass that level, or na the one wey never pass, or even you no get at all, or if they don dey see the symptoms, wetin they go tell you make you do. Because if it's still at the early stage, it can be prevented. Like you just take, it can be treated. Yes, it's treatable.
Mm-hmm.
Like something you can take medication, it's treated. But by the time you allow it to go to the stage that it cannot be treated, oh, it's gonna be difficult. Although it takes longer, it's gonna take longer. So please, it's very important that we have this at the back of our minds. So now, talking about the risks, she had mentioned earlier that you should not, yeah, the risk factors include HPV infection, smoking. So these all these things now, weakness of the immune system, and um, hormonal contraceptives, they are all part of the risk factors of cervical cancer. So you need to know about these things, and then um, get to have this at the back of your mind and prepare yourself so that you don't become a victim of this. So I don't know if we have a last word for our viewers before we go for today.
Yeah, thank you so much, guys, for listening. Thank you for having me. Thank you to the Age Network. Just your health, a lot of things are out of our control health wise, but there are just a few things that are within our control that I think we should take it in our hands and do it. If you're a young person and you are above 14 years old, you've not had any sexual intercourse in the past, it's even best for you to go take the HPV vaccine. You have a child 9 to 14, please let them take the vaccine. It's currently available free for them. Other people may have to pay. And you are young person or a middle-aged person and you have been sexually active, please go have your test once every 5 years or once every 3 years, depending on your risk. And yeah, you'll be good.
Thank you. Thank you so much. So,
Thank
as we leave, we're leaving you with this word. If you're a woman with an unmet sexual reproductive health needs, make it day free. Make you call any of this number where they for the screen, or you send message for WhatsApp, and we will be available for you. So you go see even the free number where they get the honey and banana connect number 7790. If you call them anytime, that one they no go charge you. You fit ask them any question wey you wan ask as regards your health matter and contraceptive uptake. They go dey there to answer you. So you sef wey dey any place, health centers dey plenty yakata for ground wey you fit visit, so that you go collect all the informate wey you need, wey go fit guide you as a woman for your health matter. So e make you take your health as important as we see you. So once again, as we wrap up, we're saying a very big thank you to our amazing partners. Thank you so much, and then thank you to our amazing speaker. You've really elaborated so much on cervical cancer, and I'm pretty sure that our women and girls out there who are listening, our viewers, have learned a lot from today's conversation, and we hope to have you on the show again some other time. So do have a lovely weekend ahead. Bye.
you.
Love
Bye.
you.
Thank you, Ma. Bye.
See you all same time next week. Bye.